The camera started rolling over an old palace, surrounded by green trees. An eagle was flying over the place when suddenly it hit the gatekeeper, who was fixing an electric wire. Dr. Sethuraman, a renowned scientist and a leading businessman in the town, was busy with the experiment of making a watch that will be able to see the future and past, but only for 24 hours time gap. Dr. Sethuraman was interpreted by his wife Athreya and their newborn baby Money. She wished her husband his birthday and advises him to leave everything he is doing to avoid any danger for their son. In the year 1990, he becomes successful in inventing the watch, but his happiness only lasted for a short period. His twin brother Athreya enters his place after killing the gatekeeper only to gain the time watch. Sethuraman saw him coming from the window and quickly took the watch with him and put it in a hidden room along with his baby. Then he came down to see Athreya and saw her tied onto a chair with blood falling from her head. As he tried to save her, Athreya knocked him unconscious and tied him with a chair with Athreya. They all then started finding the watch in the whole house but are unable to find it. So Athreya decided to torture Athreya in order to make Sethuraman speak. He gave him some last warning to reveal the watch location, but if he did so, it will put the child's life in danger. Athreya eventually killed Athreya by cracking her neck, when suddenly a blast occurred due to the gas leakage, giving Sethuraman some time to escape with his child. He ran to the hidden room, took his child, and escaped with the secret route, which led him straight to the jungle. He then somehow manages to get on a train with all of them following from behind. Sethuraman handed over his child to a random woman on the train and kept the pram in his hands, pretending that the child was with him. Before killing Sethuraman, Athreya has been tricked by him when he sets up a 10-second timer on the pram, which has been considered a bomb by Athreya.
10, 9, 8, 7.
Forcing him to jump out from the train. Now, 26 years later, Money has grown up and has become a watch mechanic, similar to his father's profession. He considers Sethuraman as his real mother. Money has lived with the watch box containing the Project 24 time watch, but for 26 years he is unable to open it and uses it as a support bump for his chair. Athreya is now shown, who has survived the train fall and has awakened from the coma after 26 years by a sudden blast caused in the hospital, where he realizes that he is now paralyzed and can't even move a bit of his body. He now desperately wants his youth back and calls his best companion Mithran, who took him towards Sethuraman's lab, and orders him to rebuild the building because Navi will make a watch himself with the help of the book guide that Sethuraman made before dying. The key for the Project 24 watch box has somehow reached Mani's shop. Mani discovers the key, puts it inside the box, opens it, and saw the time watch. At first, he laughs it off, thinking that he has kept a watch under his chair for years. He thinks of it as just some normal watch, but as he touches a naked switch, it caused a heavy electric charge to flow through his body, which reaches to the time watch. Sethuraman has designed the watch such a way that it can only be activated if it gets electric charge through a human body. As Mani sees to the watch, he sees written activated on it. As he put it on his wrist, it automatically wrapped around his hand. He then moved the time dial to 15 minutes earlier and gets shocked to see that he has arrived exactly 15 minutes back in time. At first he was out of his mind and wasn't ready to believe what he experienced, so to confirm his thoughts he again revolves the dial to 15 minutes earlier and experienced everything again for the third time. He was surprised and shocked at the same time, as he has now realized that he can travel in time. He goes back and forth in time, freezes it for 30 seconds, and also helps people from several incidents that he learned by going into the future. Athreya comes to Mani's shop for the repairs of her precious watch given to her by her grandfather. She was in a hurry, but Mani, who has fallen in love with her, wants to spend some more time. He then uses the watch to freeze time, damages the tire of her bike, and offered her a ride on his own bike. Athreya reaches a place where she wants to celebrate the birthday of her grandfather with some orphan kids. As India was brutally losing the match with Sri Lanka, the children lose all hope. Mani freezes the time with the help of his watch and turns the match in India's favor. On the other hand, Mithran posted a picture of the Project 24 watch in the newspaper, with an offer of $5 million to be given to the person who finds the watch. Many people decided to make a fake one to win the prize. Mani also participates in the competition by making the exact same replica of the original one. Athreya noticed a watch that was made by Mani and sees the specific logo that was made on the back of the fake watch, and realizes that the only person currently holding the watch can know its place. They then called Mani and tells him to hand over the watch. As it didn't work, they threatened on killing his friend if he didn't show up. Having no other option, Mani comes out and started fighting the guards and saves his friend, when suddenly Athreya showed up and shoots him multiple times and hanged him over the building. He also tells him that he was the one who killed his father, and that he will use this time watch to claim his youth back. He then took an axe and cut off Mani's hand with the watch and let him fall from the building, making an end to his life. As the battery of the watch was no more, he put the watch in a jar and gave it some electric current in order to charge it. Athreya then sets the time to 26 years earlier and took Mithran with him and activates the watch. But surprisingly, he discovers himself only one day earlier and realizes that the watch can take anyone up to only 24 hours time gap. But Athreya wants his youthful life of 26 years back, so he decided to make some use of Mani and make him into modifying the watch. They then canceled the advertisement in the newspaper and delivered the time watch back to Mani. He is also tricked by Athreya into believing that he is his real father. Later, Mani asked her mother about his real parents while crying. He then learned about the incident and that she has taken a promise from his father to protect him. She had promised on taking full care of the child from his father, but her family didn't accept him. So in order to keep her promise, she had to leave her town. All of her struggle was now admired by Mani in fulfilling the promise. Adding a twist to the story, Mani decides to take her mother back to her family. After reaching the village, all the family members become happy when they saw her, and after so many years later, she introduces Mani to all of them. Mani's grandfather shows him their family pictures, and he realizes that Sathya is also one of their family members. Athreya then reaches the village pretending to be Sethuraman, and makes the whole family into believing in him by telling them about the evil nature of Athreya. Later, he pretends that now he wants to leave, but at the insistence of the whole family he stays. In the next scene, Athreya enters a room along with Sathya, where the villagers were discussing the shortage of money to rebuild a damaged school in the village. But Athreya announces that he will provide 15 million to build a school. After signing the check, he handed it over to Sathya when he suddenly realizes that he has mistakenly done his own signature on the check instead of Sethuraman's. There, Sathya becomes sure that he is Athreya who is responsible for killing Mani's family, and she starts running towards Mani's room to tell him the actual truth. As she reached Mani's room, Athreya falls from the stairs intentionally, and Mani, who can't see his father injured, turned back the time to 24 hours earlier, and the scene again starts in the same place where Athreya is going to sign the check again, but this time he signs the check with Dr. Sethuraman's name. Moreover, late at night when Mani sits in Athreya's wheelchair and pretends to be his father to know about Sathya's desire to marry him. As she nods in agreement, Mani became really happy when suddenly Mithran saw Mani in the wheelchair and wishes to leave him in his room. On the way towards the room, Mithran tells him about the desire of his pretended father Sethuraman, who wants to go 26 years back in his life to save her mother from dying, and that he can't tell his son Mani to do this. When Mani comes to know about it, he decides to modify the watch for the sake of his father, and also becomes successful. The next morning in the church, Mani tells Athreya he has modified the watch for him, and now he can go back to whatever time he wants. After getting the watch from Mani, Athreya announces that he is not his actual father and that he had killed his real father and mother. As Athreya decides to go back, he realizes that the watch he has is fake and the actual watch is in Mani's hand, who will now go back to 26 years earlier and will save his parents and the woman who grew him. As soon as Mani pressed the button of the watch, Athreya jumped towards him, and they both went back 26 years earlier, when Mani was a little child and Athreya was young and strong. Athreya again heads towards Sethuraman's house to kill him and gain the watch. On the other hand, Sethuraman becomes surprised when saw the watch in the hands of Mani. He realizes that the child has come back as a newborn baby after spending years of life, with some modification in the watch. In addition, he also gets relieved that the watch is now working as he wants. As Sethuraman intended to use the watch, he is unable to do so because its battery was dead, and as he tried to recharge it, he sees that the electricity is no more, as Athreya has already cut off the electricity supply line of the house. Athreya has now entered the house and started looking for the watch. Now, there is nothing Sethuraman can do to save his family's life, so he handed over the watch to Athreya to save his family. But even after gaining the watch, Athreya tried to kill them. As he was about to finish off Sethuraman, the baby started crying and Athreya turned towards him, but suddenly the floor broke and he got hanged over the sharp landing under him. The watch also fell from his hand. Seeing it as an opportunity, Sethuraman picked up the watch and started running towards the electric room to recharge it, but he was hit by the gatekeeper and fell. Sethuraman's hand luckily reached an electric wire, which recharged the watch. Athreya then arrived and shoots a bullet at him when suddenly he uses the watch and freezes time, puts Athreya in front of the bullet, and after going a far distance, he unfroze the time. Both Priya and Sethuraman then decided to throw away the watch and got on a train. She had been told by Sethuraman and Priya that they are going to start a new life, so Satyabhama decided to take both of them to her village. At the end of the film, Mani, who knows the whole future, is seen telling his story to Sathya. Subscribe to see more videos like this, turn on notifications, and leave a like to help the channel out. Thank you for watching.